Welcome back to another part of our study through the book of Enoch. I pray that you and your families are doing well and that God's showing up in your lives in ways that are breathtaking. Today we're in chapter 6, and it's one of my favorite chapters in the entire book because up until now we've been really deep in heavy territory. Follow the watchers, the corruption of the earth, the verdict, throne room. Chapter 6 is different though. I like to call it the cosmic tour. God takes Enoch up and he shows him all the hidden architecture of everything. Places that no human has walked, back rooms of creation, storehouses of heaven, the foundations of the earth, and then the prison at the very end of everything. And what Enoch describes when he comes back, well, when you hold it next to Job and Psalms, Isaiah, and Revelation, it's going to show you that the Bible has been referencing this cosmic reality the entire time. We just didn't have the context to see it. So buckle up, buttercups. We're going on a trip. And our tour guide today is the God who built the universe. Let's go. Now, Enoch is going to make 4 very specific stops in this chapter. First, he sees the angels who look like fire. Chapter 6, verse 1, Enoch writes this: "Angels took and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire, and when they wished, they appeared as men." Now, I'm going to address something real quick before we go any further, because the church has done us a serious disservice and injustice when it comes to the portrayal of angels. There are many types of angels. We have been fed greeting cards, Christmas ornaments, soft glowing figures with gentle faces and feathery wings that look like they belong on a Hallmark special, but they creep me out. Ezekiel 1 gives us the living creatures beside the river Chabar. 4 faces each, the face of a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. 4 wings, eyes everywhere. They were moving with wheels within wheels that sparked like burning coals. Sound of their wings were like the sound of many waters, like the voice of the Almighty, like the noise of a great army. Isaiah 6 gives us the seraphim around the throne, 6 wings each, 2 covering their faces, 2 covering their feet, and 2 for flying. They were crying, "Holy, holy, holy," until the doorposts of the temple shake and the house fills with smoke. Revelation 4 gives us 4 living creatures around the throne, full of eyes, front and back, 6 wings, the faces of a lion, an ox, a man, and an eagle. Never resting day or night. These aren't soft glowing figures, guys. These are beings of such overwhelming presence and power that every single human being in Scripture who encountered one had the same immediate response: terror. Gabriel appears to Mary in Luke 1 and says, "Fear not." The angel appears to the shepherds in Luke 2 and says, "Fear not." Gabriel appears to Zacharias in Luke 1, "Fear not." The angel appears to Daniel in Daniel chapter 10, and Daniel says, "No strength remained in me, and my radiant appearance was fearfully changed." John falls at the feet of the glorified Christ in Revelation 1 like a dead man. Joshua encounters the commander of the Lord's army in Joshua 5 and then immediately falls on his face to the ground. Every time, without exception, the first words out of their mouth are, "Calm down, don't panic, fear not, just breathe." They're not being impolite, because without that word, the human being standing in front of them would be completely undone. I might get a little preachy here because I love the angels and I love that our brains can't comprehend these beings. Our human brains can't even begin to imagine what heaven is even like. The light is 7 times brighter than the noonday sun. There are different colors that exist in heaven, but not here on earth. There are beings and creatures that exist in heaven, but not here on earth. There are minerals and elements that exist in heaven, but not here on earth. You see, our brains cannot comprehend the magnitude and complexity and overwhelming brilliance of heaven. All of that tells us something that the church desperately needs to recover. See, even when angels appear in human form, something inside of our human spirit recognizes what we're encountering isn't natural. The eyes are different. The presence is different. The weight of what they carry is very different. Hebrews 13:2 says that some have entertained angels unawares, meaning sometimes you genuinely can't tell. And when God intends for you to know, the response is the same. Our human body registers something beyond itself, and it's afraid. Enoch saw these beings before they made the choice to appear as men. He saw them in their natural state. He saw flaming fire. Psalm 104:4 says this, "Who makes his angels spirits, his ministers a flame of fire?" That verse has been in the Bible the entire time. Chapter 6 of Enoch shows us what it looks like when we encounter one of these beings before they decide to tone it down so our brains can comprehend them. Stop one in this cosmic tour is the storehouses of heaven. Enoch writes in verses 2 through 5 this, "And they brought me to the place of darkness and to a mountain, the point of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw the places of the luminaries and the treasuries of the stars and the thunder, and in the uttermost depths where were a fiery bow and arrows in their quiver, and a fiery sword and all the lightnings. And they took me to the living waters and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting of the sun. And I came to a river of fire in which the fire flows like water and discharges itself into the great sea towards the west." Feel how significant this is. God asked Job in Job 38 about these exact places, and Job didn't have an answer. Listen to what God asked. "Have you entered the springs of the sea? Or have you walked in search of the depths? Have you entered the treasury of snow? Or have you seen the treasury of hell, which I have reserved for the time of trouble? Or the east wind scattered over the earth?" So God was just questioning Job about places that actually exist. Real locations inside the created order where God stores the instruments of creation and judgment. Job couldn't give an answer because Job had never been there. But Enoch, he walked through those storehouses. He saw the fiery bow and the arrows, saw the lightnings waiting to be released, and he saw the thunder that was stored up until its appointed time. We look at Psalm 135:7. "He makes lightnings for the rain and brings forth wind from his treasuries." That very same river of fire, Daniel 7:10, a river of fire was flowing and coming out from before the Ancient of Days. Revelation 22, the river of the water of life, bright as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb. Enoch walked beside a river of fire centuries before Daniel dreamed of it, and a millennia before John ever saw it on that island of Patmos. Stop number 2 on this trip, foundations of everything. Enoch writes in verses 6 through 12 quite a lot. "And I saw the great rivers and came to the great river and to the great darkness and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter and the place whence all the waters of the deep flow. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth and the mouth of the deep. I saw the treasuries of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished with them the whole creation and the firm foundations of the earth. I saw the cornerstone of the earth, and I saw the 4 winds which bear the firmament of the heaven. And I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of heaven and have their station between heaven and earth. There are the pillars of the heaven. I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all the stars to their setting. And I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the angels." Now, let's go back to Job 38 again. "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Who determined its measurements? On what were its bases sunk? Who laid its cornerstone? Have you comprehended the expanse of the earth?" God is legit, once again, asking Job about the same things that Enoch was physically shown, but Job had no answer to because he had never been there and never seen it. Turn over to Proverbs 8:27 through 29 real quick. "When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters would not transgress his command, when he marked out the foundations of the earth." Wisdom speaking in Proverbs is describing the same architecture that Enoch walked through. All of it is part of a created order that is so intentional and so precise that a man could walk through it like walking through a building designed by the greatest architect ever existed, because it was. Let's go back to that last line of verse 12. I saw the paths of the angels. Angelic beings moving through the created order on assignment, they have designated paths, routes, ordained courses that weave through the fabric of creation. The same way that God set the orbits of the stars and the courses of the winds, He also set the paths of His angels. Hebrews 1:14 reminds us of that. Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? So they're sent purposely on paths specifically structured to accommodate their movement on our behalf. These angels that are moving through our lives right now, they're not wandering. They're on an assigned path, a purposeful path, ordered by the same God who set the cornerstone of this earth. Let's move on to stop number 3, which is the 7 mountains and throne. Verses 13 through 16, Enoch says this. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heaven above, and I proceeded and saw a place which burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. And as for those towards the east was of colored stone, and one of pearl, and one of jacinth, and those toward the south of red stone. But the middle one reached to heaven like the throne of God, of alabaster, and the summit of the throne was of sapphire. And I saw a flaming fire, and beyond these mountains is a region, the end of the great earth. There the heavens were completed. I feel like I've heard all this before. Precious stones, colored stone, pearl, jacinth, redstone, alabaster. Where have I heard this? Oh, yes. John told us about it in Revelation 21:18 through 20. Listen. The construction of its wall was of jasper, and the city was pure gold like clear glass. The foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with all kinds of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. The architecture of eternity is not something that God is still working on. It already exists. It's already real. It's already waiting. Isaiah 65:17 says, behold, I create new heavens and a new earth. Guys, it's not a backup plan. God already has it built. Our very last stop on this cosmic tour has us ending at dun dun dun, the prison at the end of everything. Verse 17 through 23, Enoch writes this. And I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure alike towards the height and towards the depth. And beyond that abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of the heaven above, no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and horrible place. I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains, and to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, this place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times. And he was wroth with them and bound them until the time when their guilt should be consummated for 10,000 years. And Uriel said to me, here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand to the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be judged till they are made an end of. And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens. There is a deliberate contrast here. Enoch has just come from the most glorious locations in creation, storehouses of lightning, living waters, the cornerstone of the earth, the 7 mountains and the precious stones, a throne of alabaster and sapphire. But now he is standing at the edge of a waste and horrible place. There's no firmament above him. There's no earth beneath him. There's no water, no birds. It is the most desolate, the most empty, the most devoid of life and beauty location in all of creation. This, where Enoch is standing, this is the prison. It's meant for angelic beings who did not keep the assignment that Enoch showed us in chapter 2. Jude 1:13 says this: wandering stars for whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. 2 Peter 17 says, these are wells without water, clouds carried by a tempest for whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Isaiah 24:21-22. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord will punish on high the host of exalted ones, and on the earth the kings of the earth. They will be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and will be shut up in the prison. After many days they will be punished. Same darkness, same binding. That is what these prophets are describing. The same thing that Enoch saw. And then here comes Uriel delivering the most important line in this section. The spirits of the watchers are assuming many different forms, defiling mankind, leading them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Did y'all catch that part? Sacrificing to demons as gods. This is where the pagan worship systems of the ancient world find their origin. Not in human imagination or in cultural mythology, but in the deliberate, strategic work of fallen angelic spirits who are defiling humanity and steering their worship away from God. 1 Corinthians 10:20 says this: rather that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to God. And I do not want you to have fellowship with demons. The gods of Egypt, demonic spirits receiving worship. The gods of Babylon, demonic spirits receiving worship. The gods of Canaan, demonic spirits receiving worship. The gods of Greece and Rome, demonic spirits receiving worship. Behind every idol throughout human history sits a demonic reality, and Enoch shows us and tells us exactly how that system was engineered by the spirits of the watchers, corrupting humanity and redirecting their God-given impulse to worship toward anything and everything except the God who created them. Deuteronomy 32:17 says they sacrificed to demons that were no gods. Psalm 106:37 says they sacrificed their sons and daughters to the demons. Guys, the Bible has been telling us this the entire time. Enoch showed us where it started. Enoch closes this chapter with one sentence in verse 24. And I, Enoch, alone saw the vision, the ends of all things, and no man shall see as I have seen. No man shall see as I have seen. Not Moses at the burning bush, not Isaiah in the temple, not Ezekiel down by the river Chabar, not Daniel in Babylon, not even John on Patmos. Guys, and John even saw the throne room in the new creation in the final judgment. He saw the totality of what Enoch was shown on the cosmic tour. Enoch wrote it down, not for his generation, but for ours. Creation is not random, and that's what we see in chapter 6. It's not an accident. It's an intentional, precisely constructed, magnificently ordered reality built by a God who stores lightning and treasuries, sets foundations in the deep. He marks the path of his angels, and he built a prison at the end of everything just for beings who refuse to keep their assignment. The same God who took Enoch on that cosmic tour is the very same God who knows exactly where you are right now, who has angels on designated paths moving through your life on his command, who has already built the new creation, and it's waiting to be revealed at that appointed time. He's not a distant God. He is not detached. He is the architect of everything you see and everything you cannot. Job 38:4. Where were you when I laid the foundation of earth? I wasn't there. You wasn't there. We weren't there. Enoch was. And he came back and he told us what it looks like. It's organized, intentional, glorious. It's presided over by God whose storehouses are full and whose purposes they cannot be stopped. The King is coming and he knows every path through the creation that he built. How glorious is that?